Here we witnessed the infamous Muslim shuffle. So if you are wondering what this is all about, this is, I would say, an accusation based on my video with regard to the topic of Uthman burning the manuscript of the Quran. Some other comments under the same video. So, you talk about this hadith but never explained what this hadith actually says. You make it worse to understand. Was the Quran manuscript burned and why? Uthman sent to every Muslim province one copy of what they had copied and ordered that all the other Quranic materials, whether written in fragmentary manuscripts or whole copies, be burnt. If there were already whole copies, why did he have to burn them? Question mark. Alright, so all of these questions goes back to the hadith and what we can actually understand from the hadith. So the hadith we have here with regard to Bab Jam'il Quran, the collection of the Quran. So this is under Sahih Bukhari, under the chapter where it collected the hadith which related to this topic. And then we have all of these hadiths. This is the translation and this is the actual hadith. So what we'll do in this video is I will first go and cover the response that I have to individual comments that I have highlighted earlier, and then we'll go into this hadith and see what it actually says and what we can take from the hadith, right? So we'll go to the comments first, but if you wish to jump straight away to the discussion with regard to the hadith directly, you can jump to that portion of the video, no problem, right? So let's begin here. Here we witnessed the infamous Muslim shuffle, to which I simply replied, I simply staying true to the text of the hadith. If that is what you call Muslim shuffle, so be it. Right? So I don't mind people want to label things stuff, because I'm just staying true to the text of the hadith, right? To address the initial question by someone else. So if you call that whatever, including this is a shuffle or whatever, so be it. Now, to this comment. So you talk about this hadith but never explained what this hadith actually says? Question mark. So I responded, we covered the whole hadith in the video, no? Actually, I go through, because I asked the initial commenter that asked something, and I said, what is the source? And the comment actually copy and paste the hadith or the translation of the hadith. So I go through to address the points. Perhaps to him, to this commenter right now, he do not think that what I deliver actually explain what the hadith actually says. So we'll try another attempt in this video, where we will cover the hadith itself in the next portion, inshallah. Next, you make it worse to understand. Was the Quran manuscript burned and why? Right. So this is my comment. At that point, there's no official manuscript. What was there was whatever that people note down on their own. Hence, when such manuscripts spread to the people that are new to Islam and haven't memorized the whole thing, a concern was raised to avoid what happened to the people before, in bracket Jews and Christians. To avoid such thing, all those manuscripts are burned so that a standard manuscript is produced which would not lead to differing recitation as feared. Now we will go into this by looking directly to the hadith, what actually the hadith said, and you can judge for yourself whether what I answer here is staying true to the hadith. Right, okay. And finally, I because he asked, if there were already copies, whole copies, why did he have to burn them? Question mark. So this is an interesting question. It might be a valid question if he understand it in a certain way. So I simply initially answered, refer back to the earlier part of the hadith, because he was asking why. And to me, if you look at the hadith itself, the reason for the action that comes later is already at the beginning of the hadith. So I said, refer back to the earlier part of the hadith. To which he responded, the hadith proves the point you think you are debunking. That's why I ask you. I know what the hadith says. So this is interesting. So from his perspective, the hadith actually proved the point I think I'm debunking. I'm not sure what that is exactly. So to which I answered, you asked if there were already whole copies, why did he have to burn them? I simply point out that the answer was explicitly mentioned in the hadith, and then I quote, Huzaifah was afraid of their, and bracket, the people of Sham and Iraq, differences in the recitation of the Quran. And we'll go into the hadith now, inshallah. So this is the hadith, right? And what I will do here is I'll read the English translation, and to a certain point I'll recite also the Arabic, so that we can see, especially for those who are familiar with the Arabic language, the context of the translation, right? So Huzaifah bin al-Yaman come to Uthman at the time when the people of Sham and the people of Iraq were waging war to conquer Armenia and Azerbaijan, right? So okay, just for those who want to be familiar, right? Hadasna Musa. So this part is basically the chain of narration, right? So Hadasna Musa, so told to us by Musa. Hadasna Ibrahim, and then he got it from Ibrahim. Hadasna banu Shihab, so from Ibn Shihab. Anna, so this is what is being told, right? Anna Anas bin Malik, also again from Anas bin Malik. Hadasna Anna Huzaifah. So the direct one who got it from what happened is Anas bin Malik, and he said, he relayed that Anna Huzaifah ibn al-Yaman. So okay, so so Anas bin Malik here is saying that he relayed about Huzaifah bin Yaman. Qadima ala Uthman, have met with Uthman. Wa kana yughazi أهل الشام في فتح إرمينية, so this Armenia, wa Azerbaijan, so this is Azerbaijan, right? So the Ahl Sham, the people of Sham, actually have ghazwa, have battle with to open up Armenia and Azerbaijan. Ma'a Ahli Iraq, and with the people of Iraq. فأفزع حذيفة اختلافهم في القراءة. Okay, so we haven't read that one, right? So Huzaifah was afraid of their, in bracket, the people of Sham and Iraq, differences in the recitation of the Quran. So we went to see, the fear is this, right? Was afraid, so this is the fear that starts the whole thing. The differences in recitation of the Quran, right? So if we look at the Arabic, where is the fear? Okay, so this is what Huzaifah is fearing. Ikhtilafuhum fil qira'atihi, right? So the differences, ikhtilaf, right? The differences fi al qira'ah. So what is the fear? Is the differences in qira'ah. For Muslim, I hope you know what is qira'ah, right? The way of recitation, right? The way of recitation. And then atihi, ati. Okay, so not atihi. So ati. So basically, Quran is in bracket, basically in this sense, because it doesn't mention actually the Quran, but people it is understood. Faqala Huzaifah li Uthman, right? So this is where Huzaifah said to Uthman, right? So where is it? So okay, this is translation by changing he, right? Because in the Arabic it's mentioned the name, right? Faqala Huzaifah here, right? But somehow in translation and he said to Uthman, right? If you want to translate literally, so it should be, so Huzaifah said to Uthman. Anyway, you still understand the point, right? O chief of believers, Ya Amirul Mu'minin. So if you see here, right? Ya Amirul Mu'minin. So it is translated to chief of the believers. Save this nation before they differ about the book, meaning the Quran, as Jews and Christians did before, right? So this is how the fear, the concern is being conveyed or relayed to Amirul Mu'minin Uthman. So if we go to the quote in Arabic, where just now, Huzaifah li Uthman, Ya Amirul Mu'minin, adrik hadhihi al-ummah qabla an yakhtalifu fil kitab ikhtilaf al-yahud wan nasara. Right? So it's the fear on what will happen to hadhihi al-ummah, to this nation, to this ummah, qabla an yakhtalifu. So before the khilaf, the differences fil kitab, in the book, just like ikhtilaf al-yahud wan nasara, what the differences that have occurred before within the Yahud and Nasara. We can translate to the Jews and to the Christian. And then, so Uthman sent a message to Hafsah saying, send us the manuscript of the Quran so that we may compile the Quranic materials in perfect copies and return the manuscript to you. So okay, so this is the message from Uthman to Hafsah. Send us the manuscript of the Quran so that we may compile the Quranic materials in perfect copies. And okay, so that's the translation. So basically here, where is it? فأرسل Uthman ila Hafsah. Right, so Uthman sent to Hafsah, an ursili, to send to me, ilayna, sorry, بالصحف ننسخها في المصاحف. Right, so the manuscript is suhuf. So it is talking about suhuf, right? It is talking about suhuf. So I'm showing the words so that you understand the original word and how it is being translated, right? So here it is manuscript, right? So of course, of the Quran is contextual translation, because if you see, it doesn't even say Quran, the word Quran, because the word Quran is Arabic term. But you notice that, right? In the Arabic, it's just mentioned suhuf, meaning that the physical thing, right? Because the Quran is not a physical thing, but so we can say the manuscript, the whatever you write on, right? So that we may compile the Quran materials in perfect. Okay, so that where did I highlight there just now? Okay. في مصاحف ثم نردها إليك, so we will send to you. فأرسلت بها حفصة. Okay, just we cover until here, right? And then so فأرسلت بها حفصة إلى عثمان فأمر زيد بن الثابت وعبد الله بن Zubair. Okay, so here it's translated all the names as well, right? Hafsah sent it to Uthman. Uthman then ordered Zaid bin Thabit, Abdullah bin Zubair, Sa'id bin Al-As, and Abdurrahman bin Harith bin Hisham to rewrite the manuscript in perfect copies. Uthman said to the three Qurayshi men, in case you disagree with Zaid bin Thabit on any point in the Quran, so here, because the way is translation, right? So you might, for those who are not familiar with the Quran, they assume that it is originally written just like the Bible. So you might interpret it a totally different way compared to Muslim who know the history of the Quran. So that's perhaps the source of issues when I answer the question in a certain way, they cannot process it. Perhaps it doesn't transfer over, because the concept of what Quran is very different than what the Bible is to begin with, perhaps. And also the way this is translated maybe not helping, I'm not sure. Right, so because if you go to here, okay, wa Zaid bin Thabit fi syai'in minal Quran faktubuhu bilisanin Quraish. Okay, so this is this instruction, right? Then write it in the dialect of the Quraysh. The Quran was revealed in their tongue, right? So this is the instruction, right? Write it in the dialect of the Quraysh. The Quran was revealed in their tongue. So I'm not sure whether for those who are not familiar with the Quran, the concept, what is the Quran actually, right? And if you imagine, it is primarily from the beginning something in writing, because if you say any book, including the Bible, right, it is authored by an author or many authors in case of the Bible. So each book, let's say, is authored by an author, and then it becomes a written book, right? So if you imagine the Quran to be originally something similar, you totally would miss the context here, right? Because why is the instruction write it in a dialect, this specific dialect? Because the Quran revealed in this dialect, because originally it's an oral tradition, right? So if you look at the Arabic, Haris ibn Hisham فنسخوها في المصاحف وقال عثمان لرهط القرشيين ثلاثة إذا اختلفتم. Okay, ثلاثة is the 3%, right? أنتم وزيد ثابت في شيء من القرآن فاكتبوه بلسان قريش. Okay, so write it in the lisan of Quraysh. فإنما نزل بلسانهم, because the Quran was revealed or come down with their lisan, with their dialect, basically, right? ففعلوا حتى إذا نسخوا الصحف في المصاحف. Okay. So they did so, and when they had written many copies, Uthman returned the original manuscript to Hafsah. Uthman sent to every Muslim province one copy of what they have copied, and ordered that all the other Quranic materials, whether written in fragmentary manuscripts or whole copies, be burnt, right? So that's the final part. وكل أفق بمصحف مما نسخوا وأمر بما سواه من القرآن في كل صحيفة مصحف أن يحرق, to be burnt, right? Now, so the whole thing is with the fear. The original fear is this, right? So we will just recap. The whole thing is with this fear. Where is this fear? Was afraid of their, meaning the differences in the recitation of the Quran, right? So that's the fear. When they have whatever they have, the fear is that they end up with different recitation. So the way it is communicated is to relate to what happened before, right? Save this nation from people end up with differ in the Quran, just like what happened to Yahud and Nasara. So then number one, to have a standardized, we say, manuscript that would avoid those various differences of recitation, and once that is there, the rest that might be sources of these differences to be burnt. Some of the question that they ask is, there are many questions that I haven't highlighted. What is the authority of Uthman? Now, those kind of questions kind of assume that Uthman can do whatever he wants. Number one, he did not even do it himself. He just instructed this group of people. And these are the group of people that ensure that the instruction is carried out. So that's number one. Number two, not only there's this quorum, or this what do you call that, a group of people, but the fact that Quran is memorized, right? If you are familiar, shortly we will have the month of Ramadan. Just go and look at videos, YouTube videos. You can see many of an imam of a salah, or a prayer, reciting the Quran in their prayer, right? You can see how the imam actually, many imam, okay, nowadays we have the for those who are not memorized, or maybe have a possibility to forget, there are the big mushaf, right, in front of the imam in some masjid, right, so that the imam, even if he might forget, there's a reference there. So that is, now we have that. But in general, we have a lot of hafiz that memorize the whole thing and can recite the whole thing, and that was what, I mean, the norm, especially back then, right? Because it is memorized. And why is it important for Muslim to memorize? Because when we are reciting the Quran, any surah from the Quran in our prayer, we are not reading, we are reciting based on memory. Hence, that's why most Muslim, they always recite the shorter surah. Qul huwallahu ahad, Qul a'udzu birabbin nas, Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar, etc. Right? The shortest of the surah, because that's the easiest one to memorize compared to the longer surah, right? So if you ask most of Muslim, most of the verses or the surah that they memorize is the shorter one. So we do admit that, but there are a lot of Muslim that actually become hafiz year in, year out, that memorize the whole thing. And in Ramadan you will see them, because normally, like the student here that I mentor, a lot of them are hafiz, memorize the whole thing. I did not memorize the whole thing, but they did. And every Ramadan, they will be assigned to become imam of the prayer at any masjid, musalla, etc. Because they can lead and they can cover the whole thing from memory. I can only cover the shorter surah. So in Ramadan, normally people want to follow the imam that can recite, from the beginning until the end. Anyway, so that context is important, so that when you want to claim as if it is possible for Uthman to change anything, and without anyone knowing, suggest, even that kind of suggestion, ignore the fact that is established, right? So those kind of things, number one, doesn't make sense. Number two, some question actually asked about the original Quran. So if you just refer to this hadith, what do you even mean by the original Quran? Do you notice anything about original Quran here? It is about mushaf. It's about manuscript that people scribe on, or write on. That, because it's not standardized, and many people maybe write with their own style of writing, or that when it's read, it becomes a different dialect. I'm not sure. So that is what is being taken care of. There's no such thing as a different version, different variation, etc. It's about to preserve the recitation. Now, that is if we are referring to this particular hadith. If you are say, I refer to different hadith, then bring forth the hadith, because this is the hadith that was pointed out by that Christian that want to say as if there's an issue with regard to this episode. So hopefully that answered the question with regard to what actually is this hadith saying. I do apologize if the way I deliver still make you confused. I do admit my delivery is not yet good, so that's on me. But hopefully you can refer to this hadith yourself, right? So you can find this is in sunnah.com. Okay, just find Kitab Fadail Al-Quran, Bab Jam'i Al-Quran. Okay, hadith Sahih Hadith 4987. Anyway, so with that, thank you for watching. See you next time.